Of this? Yes.
Hello and welcome to Baggies Out. I'm Dieter.
And I'm Karen.
And we are at flight number 2, day number 3 of the 2024 Rio Grande Classic here in sunny Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
That's right, Dieter. First out, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Our premier sponsors are Highland Balloon Repair out of Rio Rancho and Bubba's 33 out of Albuquerque. We also have gold sponsors, silver sponsors, and bronze sponsors. Thank you to all of you. We couldn't do this without support from all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you to all of our sponsors. This event wouldn't be able to be put on without you. So without further ado, let's get into the tasks for this morning for all of the pilots. We had 4 different tasks for the pilots to fly to, 2 hard targets and 2 digital tasks. It was a little bit of a tricky morning, but I think that it was a pretty good day for competition overall. Our first task of the morning was a judge-declared goal that was in an arroyo, I believe just a little bit north of Southern, a little bit confusing.
North of Northern.
North of Northern, excuse me.
And just east of Unser by the McDonald's there. Our task 2 was a pilot declared goal, or a PDG, where the pilots were allowed to pick a GPS coordinate that they thought they could fly to. Half of our pilots, roughly, chose to put that PDG at the beginning of their task string farther north, while some of the others chose to put it down farther south after the other tasks.
Our third task was a maximum distance. The first point of the maximum distance, normally this is a double drop, that first point was the judge declared goal, that X in the arroyo. The second task, or the second point, was a logger mark that the pilot would drop digitally that had to be within 2 pre-described digital floating squares that were, I believe one was right around the Gordon Bennett Memorial, that task number 4, and one was slightly south of it.
Yes, our final task was a Gordon Bennett Memorial task. That means that there are certain areas that are hot, which we call, meaning that's the only place in the area where they can throw the baggie and it scores. You can see in the image you can see in the image there on the screen, the orange are the areas that are hot. It's the bridge just west of Maggie Cordova Elementary School in Rio Rancho, and also the walking path just to the west of that. The target, as you can see, was down in the arroyo. The target was not hot, meaning they would throw their baggie on one of those orange areas and then be measured from that spot to the center of the X, still glowing for the shortest distance.
Yeah, so it was a very, very limited scoring area, but we still got a couple of really good throws on it from the morning. So let's see that on a map just to make it a little bit easier for everyone at home to see what these pilots had to do. Now, where the winds were going this morning, all of the pilots took off from fairly far north in the city. About half took off from the event center, and a little bit more than half, I'd say, took off from just north of that judge declared goal, putting their pilot declared goal a little bit more south. Just depending on the strategy of the day, the pilots could really do whatever they wanted. It was a little bit slow, and there was a really good amount of steering that the pilots could do this morning.
That's right. We had a lot of light and variable winds this morning, meaning pilots could go in almost any direction, just they didn't have a lot of speed. Each target also has an opening time and a closing time, and pilots have to plan their flight to make sure that they can get to each one of these locations within the time frame given.
Absolutely. So it was a very good morning, and after this, let's hear from the lead scoring official, Dave Bagley.
I am the team leader for the target team. We're the people that put targets for the competition all over the city of Rio Rancho. Today we had 2 different target locations. We had one that was located in an arroyo and it was called a judge-declared goal. It was a plain target that we put on the ground, and we measured out to 100 meters, or about 300 feet from the center of the target, and the closer that they got to the target, the higher their scores were. Then the second location was where we are located right now, which is just west of Maggie Cordova Elementary School, off of Unser Boulevard, and we had a Gordon Bennett Memorial here at this target, and we had two hot target locations. One was located on the bridge, which I'm facing, which straddles the arroyo. The other one is located on the walking path, which is directly behind me. It's a lot of work to put it together, and it's a lot of fun to watch it go.
Thank you, Dave, for that great interview. It's super enlightening to see what you and your team do on the ground, and we wouldn't be able to put on this event without you.
Next up, we have some clips from our top pilots coming across the judge-declared goal out in the arroyo. First up, we're going to see our first place finisher, Kasey Schwemmer out of Kansas, coming right over. Oh, look at that beautiful baggie right there on the nail at the target. Great job, Kasey.
Really good throw there.
Next up, we have Alan Anderson right there. You can see his excitement as that baggie hits the ground. Nailed it, and on to the next one.
And here, Rhett Herzl coming in. And a good toss, just barely touching the dirt right there on that X.
Let's watch it again.
Oh, and there's Shane Shipman.
Next up, we have Kimberly Whiteman.
Ooh, another good throw, 0.55 meters.
Behind Kimberly, we see Natasha in the aero balloon.
And on this target, we saw so many baggies. I believe it was 28 baggies out of the 34 contestants who were signed up for RGC. So it was a really, really good morning, and pretty much everyone made it to this target. There's Natasha throwing, 21.09 meters.
And here is Jonathan Wright, and his toss just inside the legs of the X, 5.55 meters for Jonathan.
Really good day overall of competition. And here are the scores for the judge-declared goal. Kasey Schwemmer there, 1,000 points, 0.1 meter away from the center of the X, basically dead center.
Next up, we have Alan Anderson out of Nevada, 0.44. 982 points for Alan.
And then Rhett Herzl in third place, 0.51 meters away from the center of the X, 979 points for Rhett. But you can see these scores are just so close, even down in ninth place, 3.72 meters. Really, really tight scores on this first task for the day.
Absolutely. Lots of scores to come for this task alone.
Up next, we have an interview here with one of our pilots to talk about the digital scores on
that max distance.
On the max distance and the pilot declared goal.
So the PDG actually did prior to the first target. I wanted to get that out of the way. It was the easiest one I could place, and I knew I could hit, and so I got that one out of the way. Once I was on to the hesitation waltz, right? The hesitation waltz?
No.
I'm sorry.
Max distance.
Max
distance, and then the Gordon Bennett.
The max distance, I had set myself up for the big square, which was just south of, north of Southern, and I aimed for that, and that was my promising thing. If I knew I couldn't get to the small square, I got to the square and made the decision to not actually go and drop my marker within that big square and maneuver to the smaller square just off to the northwest or southwest, just because I knew I could make it as long as that west stayed in. So the PDG actually did prior to the first target. I wanted to get that out of the way. It was the easiest one I could place, and I knew I could hit, and so I got that one out of the way. Once I was on to the hesitation waltz, right? The hesitation waltz?
No.
I'm sorry.
Max distance. Max distance, and then the Gordon Bennett.
The max distance, I had set myself up for the big square, which was just south of, north of Southern.
Thank you, Mo, for that great interview. Lots of good insight on the electronic tasks that we have here at the RGC this weekend.
Yep, and we will go right into the scores for those two tasks.
First up, we have the pilot declared goal. In first place, we have Rhett Hartzell with 1 meter for the 1,000 points.
Yep, in second place, reigning national champion Bruce Wood with 990 points, 6 meters away from the declared target.
And in third place, we have Trent Caldwell from here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 20 meters and a score of 9.61. Great job, guys.
Really good flying. Then we have the maximum distance results here. Bruce Wood in first place, 6,666 meters, 1,000 points.
In second is Jonathan Wright with 6,659 meters for 989 points.
And then in third, Sean Spiker with 6,658 meters, 988 points for him. Up next, we will see some throws on our last task of the event, that Gordon Bennett Memorial on the bridge. This was a really, really cool task. It was probably my favorite one of the weekend. It was a really interesting task and very difficult for the pilots, not just to get there at the end of the string of tasks, but also it was very difficult throwing.
Yes.
Which is something that we don't always see all that much, but it is a very necessary skill. I don't know how many times I've heard in kind of like the debrief, like, oh, I messed up that throw, oh, I messed up that throw. So it's something that pilots really do need to know how to do in this sport.
And this is one of those you've got to be super careful with the trajectory of when you toss, knowing that you're going to hit that spot that you're looking for, like a spot there on the bridge. Here we see Mo, who gave us that interview earlier, his baggie in hand as he's coming across the bridge.
I believe that he just went for that walking path. I don't think that he went for the bridge. We only had three scores. I believe 4 actually through, yes. Though 1 missed. Takesh coming in next.
You can see Keith flies with a navigator. That's Chris in the basket with him. Electronics for the pilot.
Keith also just going right there.
So we have Mo and Keith who landed on the walking path, and one more who actually made it on the bridge.
Yeah, it's Alan Anderson in the green, blue, and yellow balloon, 4.35 meters right there on the bridge. A very difficult throw. And we saw Rhett Hartzell in that red, white, and blue balloon come in, but unfortunately he missed the throw, was aiming for the bridge, but didn't quite make it. So that is a baggie out of bounds for him. But Alan Anderson in first place hit that bridge 4.35 meters.
Great job, Alan. And second was Keith, who we saw come across with Chris. Result of 59.81 meters, giving him a score of 9.47 for that task.
And then Mo in third, 69.02 meters with 938 points for him.
Moving on to our overalls for the weekend.
Yes, there were 3 different events that were actually happening here at the Rio Grande Classic. We had the NM State, the New Mexico State Champions. So if you're a pilot who lives in New Mexico and you were competing in the event, you were part of the New Mexico State Championship. So that is in third place. We have John Wilson with 5,523 points.
In second place is Peg Bilson with 5,757 points.
And then in first place for the NM State Championship, Trent Caldwell with 5,940 points.
Great job.
Good job to all of our New Mexico pilots. There's another event at this event, which is the Southwest Regionals, which is pilots from New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Yes, those 3 states.
The Southwest Regionals. And in third place, we had Trent Caldwell with 5,717 points.
In second was Rhett Hartzell with 6,250 points.
Yep, representing Texas. And in first place, Joe Hartzell, also representing Texas, with 6,632 points. And then our overalls for the 2024 Rio Grande Classic. Jonathan Wright in third place with 6,016 points.
In second place, we have Rhett Herzl with 6,145 points.
And your grand champion for the 2024 Rio Grande Classic is Joe Hartzell with 6,569 points. Congratulations, Joe.
Congratulations to all of our competitors for this weekend. It was a fantastic event.
Yes, it was an absolutely great event. Thank you to all of our pilots, to our sponsors, to the crew, and everyone on the committee, the RGC committee, who helped put on this event.
And thank you to Top Gun, who hosts the Rio Grande Classic, for everyone to come out and fly and get this opportunity. We look forward to seeing everyone again next year, and we look forward to working with everyone, and it's going to be a great event. So stay tuned for more Rio Grande Classic 2024 and more Rio Grande Classic 2025 next year.
We'll see you then.